Bill Cosby walked free from prison last night, his conviction for sexual assault overturned by Pennsylvania's highest court. Cosby, who's 83, has served more than 2 years of a 3 to 10 year term. He had been found guilty of drugging and violating sports administrator Andrea Constant at his home, his mansion actually, in the Philadelphia suburbs back in 2004. To Joseph Kotrie-Monson, who's criminal defence lawyer at the firm Monson Solicitors, they're on Fleet Street in London, and specialises in this area, and indeed in cases between the UK and the US. OK, good to have you on, Joseph. Thanks as ever for your time. How or why has Cosby been freed?
Well, Nick, the mind boggles, doesn't it?
I'm afraid it does, sir, yeah.
This is a legal scandal, but not the type that you and I might have first thought, because we're not talking about legal loopholes or technicalities here, but actually a really disturbing pattern of a seriously sneaky and illegitimate prosecution, which actually, on analysis, I can't believe I'm saying this, never should have got off the ground. So this is a Supreme Court decision, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and the 4-3 majority judgment actually marks the final end of this road in this particular prosecution of Mr. Cosby. You'll be aware that the other case is, of course, timed out on the basis of the statute of limitations. Now, the background is well known. That there was this former basketball player accused Mr. Cosby of drugging and sexually assaulting her. It was initially investigated by prosecutor Bruce Castor. You may remember his rambling and widely panned defence of Donald Trump, Nick, in the recent impeachment proceedings. Now, a decision was made on the basis of lack of evidence to secure a conviction. Remember, the standard of proof in the US, as in the UK, is beyond reasonable doubt. Now, at this point, Mr. Cosby had no fear of criminal proceedings. And once he had that assurance, he could be forced to testify in later civil proceedings brought by Miss Constant, the complainant, and be compelled to answer, because with no criminal case on the horizon, he could not maintain his right to silence, or as my American colleagues call it, he couldn't plead the fifth. Now, he gave evidence in those proceedings, and admissions made in those proceedings were then used in new criminal proceedings, because, of course, now there was evidence to go beyond. Now, they only had that evidence because they'd told him he would not face criminal charges, and that led to civil prosecution. And this is a kind of illegitimate second bite of the cherry, and it's sadly, and through gritted teeth I say this, Nick, an extreme textbook example of an abuse of process, as we call it in the UK, or a process violation, as the US justices in this case call it.
OK, and lastly, briefly, Joseph, what of Mr. Cosby now, and what of his alleged victims, and any further potential actions? All ruled offside and never going to happen.
Well, if there was a chance, it probably timed out in the time that they were messing about with this very cheeky, sneaky and completely unfair, objectively unfair prosecution. The problem in the US, and we don't have that same problem, the same issue in the UK, is that sexual offences time out after a certain amount of time. And these appear to be all historic. 30 complainants in civil claims, represented by that famous US sexual offences lawyer, Gloria Allred.
Yes,
And it looks like it'll go nowhere. The final word here, the state prosecutor at the head of this bungling mess, Kevin Steele, says that despite this, he believes that, quote, nobody is above the law, and he hopes people appreciate that. But, Nick, unfortunately for him, frustratingly for everybody, and for the disappointed complainant in this case, nobody is above the law includes his office.
Joseph Kotrie-Monson, thanks as ever, criminal defence lawyer at the firm Monson Solicitors on Fleet Street, specialising in this area.